you guys, it's Karen and I have got some doggy favourites for you today. The first few things I have, I'm not actually going to show you because they're too big. So there are two kind of bed items and one toy storage item. The first thing I want to talk about is the most recent purchase, which was a bed, and it is by Real Pets, and I'll put a picture in on the screen. I put it on Instagram. It's the most beautiful bed. It's in a kind of lilac colour, and what I love about it is it's a reasonable price. It's I think it was $34.99. It's washable and it's waterproof, and beds need to be washable for me. It is one that's like quite densely filled like a duvet, and so it will need a while to dry, but you know, you can't tumble dry it, but you can put it by a radiator. And I need to be able to wash my beds because of Watson's allergies, so that's really important to me. But I just think it's so pretty, but it's also cozy as well as, like I said, being waterproof, which I always find that combination hard to find. So Watson seems to be loving it and he's sleeping in it every night at the moment. So love that. I will link all of these things for you. The second bed type thing is a mattress that I bought for Watson's crate. I finally decided to buy an actual mattress type bed, and again, he seems to love it, and I think this would be great with any dog with any kind of joint problems. We're not 100% sure what's wrong with Watson's hip. You may remember he was diagnosed with hip dysplasia, but there's a whole drama happened since then. But I like him to have good support wherever he's laying, and so that will provide him good support. But it actually looks really nice. It just looks so much neater now and so much cozier. And then the final thing I wanted to show you that I haven't brought through because it's just a little bit too big to, is a toy chest that I bought him. I just think it's too small to put all of Watson's toys in, to be honest with you, but I'm using it for all the cardboard boxes that I save to make treat games for him, and you know, different kind of scent games. And I just think it's a really lovely toy chest. And the one I have bought is in large, but it's still quite small, but I think that would make a lovely gift for Christmas. So I was thinking anybody that's, you know, loves that kind of style. So yeah, love that. That's worked out really well. And everything else I think I can actually show you. Let me get you my biggest item. I just bought this and I don't know if it's going to be a complete failure or not. Kev is going to laugh his head off when he sees it, but look at this. This is actually for nails and screws and things, but I thought it would be perfect for Watson as a scent game, so to put things in these drawers. Now some of them, like, I think you'd be able to take that out, but they're quite stiff to get out. And Watson, the one thing he hasn't mastered in his scent games is pulling something. Because there's lots of little bits on his fun tower where he should have to pull the bit of elastic, but instead he just sort of attacks it. And he understands tug tug, which is like he can open a drawer for me when he's training. So I know he knows how to do it, he's just not got the patience. And so I thought that this might be quite good to train him on. And once he figures out that by, you know, using his teeth and pulling that out, there's treats in there. And I can put treats in, you know, little bits of material that you can pull out in different ways. So I'm looking forward to trying it out, but yeah, it may end up actually being used by Kev. Okay, I've got some treats and some games and some health stuff and a book. So let me tell you first about the treats. So the first one I want to mention is this. This is Bounce and Bella is the company, premium grain-free treats, just poultry, potato and gravy, nothing else. So on the back, in the ingredients, it's freshly prepared poultry, chicken 33%, duck 29%, turkey 18%, potato and gravy. That's all there is in here. Because they are chicken 33%, it's not something I would use with Watson. Well, I may do as long as I was really careful. He can eat chicken, but just not too much of it. But actually, he doesn't like them. But I was okay with that because I'm trying to show you the size of the little bones because they're really, really tiny. But I was using these with Leo the lab and he loved them. And they're great because they're tiny to use as training treats. So if you're doing clicker training with your dog where you need to like throw them one treat after the other, these are perfect because they're tiny and they're really good ingredients. They're really nice, fresh ingredients. And also this is a lot. This is, how much is in here? 500 grams. This is quite a big packet. And I think this might have been £7 or £8. You know, sometimes I get the prices so wrong, but I will link it for you. So I highly recommend those. And the other treats I wanted to mention are these Nature's Menu beef treats because they are also really nice ingredients. And they're nice and soft. So if you've got a dog that has any problems with their teeth or anything like that, and although they are they're a decent size. I actually cut them in half, but you can break them in half. And I use those with Watson because he absolutely loves them. So I love all the Nature's Menu stuff. Watson has had Nature's Menu, Country Hunter, raw food, wet food. In fact, I was going to show you one of the wet food tins. One of the ones that Watson likes is this Country Hunter 80% pheasant and goose. And that's what I like about Country Hunter. They do kind of novel flavours. So you've got pheasant and goose. There's another one that's, I think, rabbit and turkey. They've got wild boar. So they've got a lot of different flavours. And then his absolute favourite is this one. And this is the succulent duck, 80% duck. So let me show you these, because what I use these for, this one is the best for this idea because it's really, really moist. I put these on licky mats. And I like doing that because wet food is something he doesn't have very often. And so it's a novel thing for him to be having off a licky mat. He thinks of it as a treat, but he's still getting nutrients and whatnot because it is actual food with the vitamins, etc. in it. And these are also nice to mix with kibble if you use kibble, which Watson occasionally has kibble. He sometimes has it for his breakfast, and if we go away, sometimes we take kibble and just mix it with something like that to make it a bit tastier. That's treats. I also wanted to show you these. I'm sure I've talked about these before, but these are foam balls. And I don't think they are actually dog toys. Fun Sport soft ball. Now, these won't work if you've got a dog that ingests things, but Watson does like to destroy these sometimes, but mostly if we're out. If I'm out and I throw this ball for him, he will run and pick it up, not return it to me unless he's interested in a treat that I have. But even then, after a few throws, he's like, no, I'm not interested, I just want to keep it, and he will rip it apart. But in the house, he doesn't tend to do that. But I think these are great for if you've got a dog that you want to play ball with in the house, even if it's throwing it up for them to catch it, assuming their joints are all right, etc. Or you can hide them, you know, I think it's good because you're not risking breaking the furniture. But I also like the fact of using foam balls because there's less of a risk of injury. I have seen a dog injured by a tennis ball being thrown at them and kicked, and the ball, you know, the ball was kicked, and there's all sorts of accidents that can happen, and I just like the fact that these are so soft. Let me show you the one non-doggy item, but it is for dog walking. These are my welly boots. Aren't they cute? These are by Jules, and you can see it written on the front there. These are the 3/4 style. You can get ankle ones, you can get full length ones, and you get 3/4 like this. My dog walker was wearing the ankle boots one day, and I was like, oh, they're very cute, you know. And she told me they were Jules and that she got them from Amazon and that they weren't expensive, because I had been thinking about buying some wellies. They're just great, I think, to pull on when you're just taking your dog out for a business walk and it's raining or whatever, or you're going over a muddy field. They slip on and off so easily. But the last pair of wellies I had was for my wedding. I bought some bright pink wellies just in case I needed to wear them to get to the car or whatever. And they were so uncomfortable. So I didn't know what size I was in these. So when we were in the Lake District, there was actually a Jules shop. So I said to Kev, let's go in and I'll try some of the boots on, and found my size. And they were so comfortable. So I ordered these and they're super comfy. They're nothing like wellies. They're nothing like the wellies that I remember from being a child. They're nothing like those wellies, the cheap wellies I bought for my wedding. They're really, really comfortable, and they're so easy to just slip on and off for when I go out for a walk with Watson. Because I've got my big DeBarry boots, you know, my long boots, which are super expensive, but they're actually quite difficult to get on and off. Well, not difficult, but not as slip-on as these. And I also don't really want them to get dirty, whereas wellies I'm not bothered because I'm only ever going to wear them briefly. So they're super comfy. So let me link those for you, but you can get them in, you know, full length, like I said, or ankle, or the 3/4 length to me is perfect, because I can even slip them on over my pyjama bottoms, then put a big coat on and go out with them and come back and no problem. Okay, 2 health items I want to show you that have been really useful to us this last little while. The first is this Otodine. This is, it says ear cleaning solution. Watson has had real problems with ear infections, which is very, very common in dogs like him that have very bad allergies. He's allergic to yeast. All dogs have yeast in their ears, but obviously it's more difficult for a dog that is allergic to yeast because it means he gets an infection easier and they bother him more. I've tried all sorts of kind of cleaning solutions, and actually he doesn't have that much coming out of his ears. I know that a lot of dogs with recurrent ear infections have a lot of, you know, brown gunk coming out. Watson actually doesn't. So I was kind of at a loss as to what to do, and I went to see one of my vets. I seem to see a different vet every time, and he said, oh, you could use this every other day. And I said, but there's not actually that much to clean. And he said, but the good thing about this is it has an ingredient in it that breaks down yeast. And so there's not as much yeast in the ears. So you fill up the ears with this. They normally shake their head. You can give it a wipe out with some kind of wipe or tissue or anything. And like I said, you're not only cleaning them, you're breaking down the yeast, and that helps. So I've been using this ever since, and he hasn't had any ear infections since then, which was probably a month and a half ago, which doesn't sound like much, but that is a lot for Watson. His ears are perfectly clean. The thing is, you have to do it properly. And I didn't realise this with this or anything you use in the ears, including like ear solutions. We've had antibiotic drops, we've got steroid drops. I'm still using the steroid drops as well, actually, more recently. Because even when his ears haven't got any yeast, they're red and inflamed. But you have to actually put this like that into the ear canal and be very, very careful, because if they're wriggling about and you get it in the wrong place, it can be very painful for them. And then you squeeze, and you actually need to fill up the ear canal. If what we were doing before was just putting a few drops of things in, and that does absolutely nothing. So we've been putting this in his ear, and then you massage the ear, and then, like I said, clean it out. And yeah, so far so good. So I highly recommend this. And the second thing is this spray on plaster. This is a silver spray. It looks kind of grey when you spray it on them, actually. But I have talked about this before. I've mentioned it on Facebook. I think it's amazing. I've used it for quite a few of Watson's little cuts and grazes. It wouldn't do for a massive big wound. It's not going to save you having to put a cone on, or, you know, protecting it in that way. But it does, it's waterproof. What did it say? Protects minor cuts and grazes from water, dirt and bacteria. Film forming silver and aluminium micronized spray, bandage-like protection. This is great if you've got a dog like me that likes to do roly-polies. I can spray it on, and it just seals it in, and it seems to not prevent Watson from licking, discourage him from licking. And I say that because there's some of the things I've put this on, he's left it completely alone, but then he's occasionally had a little go at some others, you know. So for example, at the moment I'm using it on his paw because he had another lump on his paw. He's had one on his elbow, which I used this on, and it helped it heal. He had one on his paw, and I'm currently using it on that. And he occasionally will look at it, but not when you first spray it. I think it's obviously got something in it that doesn't appeal to them. But in addition to it working for Watson, I lent it to my neighbour whose dog has had a little cyst, and she sprayed it on and said it's like started to heal within a couple of days, and it stopped her gnawing at it. So it's really, really good stuff, and I would highly recommend this. I've used it so many times, honestly. The amount of little open sores and things that Watson has, it's just perfect. My final favourite is a book, and it is Inspiring Resilience in Fearful and Reactive Dogs by Sally Gutteridge. There's quite a few the books in this kind of range, if you like, but this book is absolutely brilliant. I bought this because I was working with Morley, the rescue dog, and, you know, finding it a real challenge. But I think anybody that's got any kind of fearful or reactive dog would really benefit from reading this book. So I'll make sure I link it for you. You can get it in, I've actually bought it in audiobook because I was going to listen to it on the way to the Lake District. I'd already started reading this, and I also bought it on Kindle in case I just wanted to read it while I was away. So I bought it in the 3 different types. It's that good. It's one that I will dip in and out of again. And I do like to have physical books as well. So that's everything for my doggy favourites. I hope that you enjoyed that. There was a bit of everything there, wasn't there? Let me know what your favourite doggy items have been lately, and I will speak to you again soon.